average weekday looks like this: up at 6:45, shower, make coffee, check Slack, and skim my inbox before even brushing my hair. I start work at 9, but I always end up logging on early to get ahead of the 10 a.m. design review. Between meetings, I unload the dishwasher, put in a load of laundry, and prep something for dinner. Craig works from an office. I work from home. That means I have time to do everything, apparently. By noon, I've answered 22 emails, dealt with a client who doesn't understand wireframes, and already taken out the trash because Craig forgot. At 5 p.m., I'm still working. He walks in, dumps his bag on the counter, and asks what's for dinner without looking up from his phone. This isn't once in a while. This is every single day. We used to split things. I'm not delusional. In our first 2 years, we both cooked, we both cleaned, and when one of us was swamped, the other picked up slack. But somewhere in year 3, the seesaw tipped and never came back down. Suddenly, I was better at cooking and more organized and didn't mind cleaning up after guests. Code 4, he decided those things were mine now. Last Tuesday, I had a brutal day. Tech issues, delayed client approvals, my manager asking for last-minute UX audits that weren't on the roadmap. I wrapped up at 7:15. I came out, exhausted, and asked Craig if he could help with dinner. I had thawed chicken and a bag of salad. Not hard. He didn't even look up from his laptop, just waved a hand and said, "You're overreacting. Just be a wife, Marin." That was the moment. Not a scream, not a plate thrown. Just those 5 words. Just be a wife. What does that even mean in 2025? Cook, clean, smile, and stay quiet? Be a support system without support? Be invisible unless something's missing? I kept hearing that sentence in my head like it was looped on a speaker. Just be a wife. I didn't say anything that night. I made dinner, like I always do. Ate quietly while he watched sports. But something broke. Not in a dramatic way, more like a worn-out thread finally snapping. I realized how much Craig had stopped seeing me. Not just as a partner, but as a person with a full-time job, deadlines, goals, a schedule that's not cute or flexible or disposable. He calls my job cute now, by the way. He used to tell people he was proud of me. Now he jokes that I make pretty pictures and buttons. He says it in front of friends, in front of family. I told him once it bothered me. He said I was being too sensitive. I told him again. He rolled his eyes and changed the subject. Craig's mom never worked outside the home. She was a full-time homemaker, and honestly, she loved it. That's great, for her. But at some point, Craig started comparing me to her without realizing it. Her house was always spotless. She had dinner ready at 6:30 sharp. She ironed his dad's shirts. And now, I'm somehow failing because I don't do all that on top of my 45-hour work week. When we were dating, Craig used to hype me up, said he admired how smart I was, how driven, said he wanted someone with their own path. I used to believe him. But over time, every time I brought up being tired or overwhelmed, he'd shut down or joke that I was doing too much. I asked him once to split grocery runs again. He said I should make a list if it matters so much. The last argument before I snapped wasn't loud. I told him I was burned out and that it didn't feel fair anymore. He looked up from the couch and said, "You're supposed to take care of things at home. That's what wives do." That was it. That was when I stopped trying to fix it with words. I started planning. Quietly. First, I texted my sister and asked if her cabin up north was free. It was. 1 week alone. I didn't tell Craig anything. I began slowly removing myself from our shared systems, deleted myself from the grocery app, canceled the cleaning service I had secretly been paying for with my personal card, unsubscribed from the calendar reminders I set for his appointments. I started pre-packing the guest room suitcase, a few clothes, my laptop, charger, toothbrush, small things. Each night, I'd go to bed without saying anything different. Just the usual kiss on the cheek and goodnight. He had no clue. The night before I left, I filled the dishwasher, wiped the counters, and put the chicken in the freezer. That morning, I woke up early, took my bag, and walked out the front door before he even stirred. No note, no dramatic text, nothing. I turned off the shared location. My phone was quiet, except for the hum of maps guiding me north. If Craig wants to see what just a wife does, he can try living without one. The cabin was clean, quiet, and stocked with the basics: eggs, bread, instant coffee, frozen soup, and a bottle of wine my sister left behind. I put my phone on silent, slid my laptop onto the table by the window, and slept for 9 uninterrupted hours. No alarms, no pan clattering in the kitchen, no Slack notifications, just stillness. First time in years. By 10 a.m. on day 1, I had 4 texts from Craig. "Did you forget the grocery run? Where are you? Did you take the car for something? The fridge is basically empty." I didn't reply. He sent a question mark. I left it on read. By dinner, he tried calling. I let it ring. He didn't leave a voicemail. Day 2, the messages changed tone. Less confused, more irritated. He called twice. The second time, I picked up. He asked what was going on. I told him I was safe and that I needed space. He said there was nothing to eat at the house. I said, "Then shop." I hung up. That afternoon, he missed his dentist appointment, one I had scheduled months ago, and used to remind him about every week. I had removed myself from our shared Google Calendar the morning I left. He never noticed until now. Around 5 p.m., he texted again, "Missed lunch with my boss's wife. Thought it was next Friday." That lunch had been on the calendar for 3 weeks. An hour later, he accused me of being passive-aggressive. I replied once, not passive, not aggressive, just being a wife somewhere else. He didn't respond after that. That night, my friend Caroline FaceTimed me. I told her what happened, all of it. She laughed once, but then said, "Honestly, overdue." Another friend said I was being cold. One called it genius. One asked if I was okay. I said I was more okay than I'd been in a long time. Craig's mom called the next morning. Her number popped up while I was on my second cup of coffee. I answered. She sounded worried. Craig had told her I left after a silly argument and hadn't come back. I told her I was fine, just needed time to think. She didn't push, said she understood. said she hoped we'd talk things through soon. I spent that day watching the weather roll in through the window. Cold rain tapping against the glass. I journaled every task I could remember doing regularly for the past 6 months: meal planning, grocery runs, setting up auto bill payments, booking pest control, wiping baseboards, restocking toilet paper, sending birthday cards, vacuuming before guests came over, organizing the junk drawer because Craig couldn't find his passport. The list was almost 2 pages. That night, I checked our shared energy account. The power bill was due. It hadn't been paid. I didn't pay it either. By day 4, Craig sent a different kind of text. I didn't realize how much you handled. Just that. No emojis. No sarcasm. I let the message sit for 24 hours. He followed up the next night. I get it. Can we talk? I wrote back a list of rules. No deflection. No calling me emotional. No comparing me to his mom. He said okay. I told him, before we even speak, to write down every task he thinks I handle around the house. He sent back a laughing emoji. I didn't reply. The next morning, I woke up to a new message. Wait, you're serious? I sent one line. That's the point. The silence that followed was loud. I spent the rest of that morning cleaning the cabin, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I swept the porch, folded the blanket I'd left on the couch, refilled the bird feeder. Then I opened my laptop and went back to journaling. This time, I wasn't listing chores. I was writing every time I'd been talked over, ignored, or brushed off with a joke. It was longer than the chore list. That afternoon, I opened Venmo to split a friend's dinner tab and saw a new request from Craig. It was labeled Cost of Marriage Counseling, $150, no note. No emoji. No context. I didn't accept or decline. Just stared at the request for a while. Maybe he's serious now. Maybe it's a power move. Maybe it's both. Either way, I'm not rushing home over a Venmo invoice. I told Craig I'd come back to talk. It's not to move back in. Not to fix things overnight. Just a conversation. 1 hour. Neutral ground. He insisted it should be at the house. I parked in the driveway and noticed 2 things immediately. The porch light was still on, even though it was broad daylight, and the garbage bin was overflowing. There were 2 full trash bags sitting just inside the back screen door, tied up but not taken out. Flies were circling. Inside, the house didn't smell. It actually smelled lemony. The floors were vacuumed. The bathroom mirror was streak-free. I could tell he'd hired someone. The folded towel triangles in the guest bath were a dead giveaway. But the clutter was still there: papers, half-finished water bottles, socks under the couch. In the kitchen, I opened the fridge. It was full, but in the most chaotic way. 3 kinds of soda, takeout containers, 2 bottles of ranch, frozen waffles shoved into the crisper drawer. Nothing remotely resembling a meal plan. Just stuff. Craig walked in wearing the same hoodie from 2 days ago. He looked tired. Not in a tragic way. Just worn down. We didn't hug. We didn't sit at the table. We stayed in the living room, facing opposite ends of the couch. I pulled out a stapled printout from my tote bag. 6 pages. Double-sided. Everything I'd handled over the last 6 months. Appointments, event RSVPs, light bulb replacements, birthday gifts for his family, vet checkups, pest control quotes, restocking cleaning products, cleaning up the lint trap. Yes, and I even wrote that down. He skimmed it. Made it 2 pages in before saying it felt like a punishment, that he worked full-time too, that he wasn't trying to ignore things. I didn't raise my voice. I asked if he thought I didn't also work full-time. If he thought these things did themselves. He didn't answer. I told him I wasn't looking for an apology for the list. I wanted recognition. I asked what he actually thought I did around the house, besides wife stuff. His answer didn't come. Eventually, he muttered something about assuming I liked it, that I was just good at those things. I told him that assumption is exactly the problem. He mistook silence for willingness. He confused capability with desire. He tried to bring up his mom, how she managed the house, and how she never made it a big deal. I stopped him right there, said I wasn't her. I work a full-time job. I never agreed to be a full-time caretaker. He asked what I wanted from him. I told him clearly I want to be treated like a partner, not a support beam holding everything up while he lives on the top floor. He offered to split chores again. Said we could divide the list evenly this time. I said no, we're beyond lists now. I don't want to manage a list. I don't want to carry the mental load. I don't want to remind him what needs to happen. I want him to notice. He didn't respond to that either. We sat in silence for a minute. Then he stood up to check his phone. I opened mine too. Reflex, I guess. That's when I saw a new notification pop up. Craig added meal delivery subscription, set weekly to contacts. Not a message. Not a shared app. Just a saved number. I looked at it for a long second. I asked if he seriously thought ordering boxed dinners was solving the issue. He said something about removing friction from our evenings. I left shortly after. Didn't pack a thing. Just walked back out to the car, started the engine, and drove straight to the gas station. Filled up, grabbed a bottled tea, and sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes. He hired a cleaner. But the trash was still sitting by the back door. And now he thinks a meal kit is a solution to emotional labor. I'm not sure he gets it. Not yet. I drove straight back to the cabin after leaving the house. I didn't tell him I was going. I didn't need to. He already knew where I was staying. The next morning, I got a text from him. Just a photo of the boxed meal kit, sitting on the kitchen counter. Caption C? Fixed. The picture showed a sealed package, pre-cut veggies, vacuum-packed chicken, a recipe card that promised a 20-minute dinner. Neat. Clean. And completely missing the point. That night, I FaceTimed my friend Morgan. She burst out laughing before I finished the story. Called it a band-aid for a bullet wound. The next day, I sent Craig a message. Make a list of everything you think we each do in a typical week. Homework, errands, all of it. And 4 hours passed before he replied. 2 screenshots of a Notes app list. His side, 5 bullets. All job-related. My side, 6 bullets. Grocery shopping, cooking, laundry, cleaning, general home stuff, and calendar things. That was it. No mention of remembering his niece's birthday. No detail about managing holiday travel. No mental load. Just vague categories and a shrug. I replied, if that's what you think I do, we're nowhere close to okay. A minute later, he texted again, I'm trying, you're being dramatic. I blocked him. I needed the spiral to stop. No pinging phone. No pinging guilt. 2 full days passed. No texts. No emails. Silence. Then a message from his sister, Kendra. She asked if I was okay. Said Craig told her I left him with no warning. I forwarded her a screenshot of the just be a wife message. Her response came fast. Yikes. That's all I needed. Later that night, she texted again. Said she told Craig to back off. Give me breathing room. He didn't take it well. He blocked her. She forwarded me the messages before he did. Paragraphs of him blaming me for walking out, saying I was unreasonable and making a scene over chores. Said I was trying to humiliate him. I didn't reply to any of it. Not to Kendra, not to Craig. But the next morning, I unblocked him for 5 minutes. Long enough to send one message, I'm not your maid. I'm not your mother. I'm your wife. And you treated that like a job title instead of a partnership. I'm not coming back until you know the difference. Then I blocked him again. No emoji. No follow-up. No debate. He can keep the meal kits. I'm keeping my peace. It's been 3 weeks since I left. I've been working remotely from the cabin, small freelance view contracts, just enough to stay busy and keep money coming in. The lake view is calm. I have a routine. Mornings start with coffee, lunch is whatever I feel like making, and I go to bed without scheduling anyone else's day. One afternoon, I opened my email to find a forwarded message from a mutual friend. No subject line, just the screenshot. Craig had changed his Facebook relationship status to "It's complicated." That same evening, a new message hit my inbox from an unfamiliar address. Not his usual one, he must have realized I blocked it. Subject line, next steps message. If you're not planning on coming back, maybe we should consider a formal separation. No intro, no lead up, just that. The irony? He's the one dropping the divorce word now. The same guy who said I was blowing things out of proportion is suddenly drafting exits. I replied once, I agree. If your view of partnership hasn't changed, that's the healthiest choice. Less than 2 minutes later, he called. I let it ring. The voicemail landed 30 seconds later. He said I was destroying the marriage over chores. I didn't respond. Instead, I scheduled a free consultation with a family law mediator the next day. Zoom call, 9:30 a.m. Just to understand what my options looked like. No kids, no shared debt, but we do co-own the house. The mediator explained everything clearly. The biggest asset was the house. Everything else, clean break. That same night, Craig texted my sister. He hadn't blocked her yet. The message was short. Is Marin okay? My sister replied with one line, she's safe, respect her space. 10 minutes later, he blocked her too. The next few days, I made a checklist. Start mentally dividing things. I knew which furniture I'd want, what stuff was mine before the marriage, what didn't matter enough to fight over. I opened a new checking account, shifted my freelance payments there. Then I got another message, this time forwarded to me through a different friend. Craig had already spoken to a lawyer about buying me out of the house. The lawyer was asking for my estimated equity and if I wanted to sell my share or take a payout. No apology. No call. No can we talk. Just business. I called a friend, told her everything. She said maybe he thought I was bluffing. Maybe he expected me to get tired and come back like nothing happened. Maybe now he realizes I wasn't bluffing. The last message I got came 2 days later. A new email from him. No subject. No greeting. Just an attachment. Philanamy, separation agreement draft.pdf, no explanation. No message body. Just silence in black and white. The morning after I received the draft, I scheduled another session with the mediator. This time it was more serious, screen share, documents, numbers. No more general questions. The surprising part? A clean break actually worked in Craig's favor. Turns out, between my freelance income and stock bonuses from my last full-time role, I technically earned more than him over the last fiscal year. No spousal support. No shared debt. If we sold the house, the split would be simple. If he wanted to buy me out, he could afford it with the right financing. The mediator called it a clean financial decoupling. I called it freedom. That same afternoon, I finally replied to the email. I'll have my attorney look this over. Exactly 11 minutes later, my phone rang. Craig's name. I answered it, for the first time in weeks. The first thing he said was, I didn't think you'd actually go through with this. I stayed quiet. Then came the follow-up, I thought you'd get it out of your system and come home. I asked one thing, you said we should separate. Why the backpedal now? He said he felt like he was being punished for wanting a traditional marriage. I let him talk. He rambled about expectations, gender roles, how he grew up, how he thought we were settling into normal, how this whole thing felt like a reaction to small misunderstandings. I told him straight, he never asked for a traditional marriage. He just defaulted into it and assumed I'd fall in line. I never signed up to be his mom. Then came the half apology. I'm sorry if I made you feel unsupported. I told him that wasn't an apology. That was PR cleanup. He paused, then tried a new angle, said maybe this was a wake-up call, that maybe we could do counseling, hit reset, maybe even take a second honeymoon, and get out of this rut. I reminded him it wasn't a rut. It was 5 years of ignored conversations, of eye rolls, of just be a wife. This wasn't a blip, it was a pattern. And I was done being quiet about it. He finally said something that caught me off guard. He'd started therapy 2 weeks ago, alone, weekly sessions. Said he realized after I left how much he'd stopped listening. I didn't interrupt. I let him finish. Then came the guilt trip. I'm still in the house, alone, still eating frozen dinners. I told him, that's what just being a husband looks like without a wife, right? Silence on his end. Finally, he asked if I'd consider a 6-month trial separation instead of divorce. Something with breathing room. No papers yet. Just time. I told him I'd think about it. Didn't promise anything. The call ended without a fight. No raised voices. No begging. Just static and a long pause before we hung up. Later that night, I pulled out my notebook, the one where I had listed every task. every chore, every ignored conversation. I didn't add anything new. I just looked at the pages. This time, the ball's in my court. And I'm not afraid to hold it. It's been 8 full weeks since I left. The cabin was temporary. I'm in a short-term rental now, closer to my old office, walkable to a grocery store, quiet. I've been apartment hunting without telling anyone. Studio units, 2 bedrooms, something with light. I started donating things I don't plan to move. Started setting up mail forwarding. New routine, new space. Then I got the email. Same address he used for the separation draft. Subject line, please. I opened it. It's against my better judgment. He was asking to meet, one last time. Not to fix things. He said the word closure 3 times. I replied, only if this is not a reconciliation talk. Closure only. He agreed. We met at a quiet coffee shop halfway between our old place and his office. Small place. 2 ceiling fans, a half-dead plant by the register. I got there first. Craig walked in 5 minutes late. Looked thinner. Less polished. Hair grown out slightly. Same brown jacket he's had for years. He ordered black coffee. Sat down slowly. He opened with "I miss us." Said he didn't want this to be over. Said he'd changed. I didn't argue. I waited. He listed things. Therapy sessions, books, laundry he now does himself, how the fridge has actual vegetables now. Said he's been reflecting. I told him all of that was homework. Work he should have done during the marriage. Not after he emailed divorce papers with no subject line. He asked if we could wipe the slate clean, start over. Really reset this time. I said, I could start over, yes. But not with someone who thinks love means defaulting to convenience. He didn't like that. He said I was walking away from years of love over a few bad months. That it wasn't fair to erase everything. I stood up. I told him, it wasn't a few bad months. It was 5 years of silent suffocation. Then I walked out. No yelling. No breakdown. Just the sound of a door chime as I pushed it open. I blocked his email that night. No text. No voicemail. No fire. No bridge burned. He just watched it rot, and now it's gone.